And welcome to this chapter of REST execution using locust and HTTP user class. So this concept is going to be really handy when we are going to create our real projects. Okay, so stay focused and see what and how we're going to learn about this chapter. So let's move on. We are going to use this application as an application under test. It's automationpractice.com, right? And you see this double hyphen host, right? So we are going to add this parameter from our command line. So when we are going to start the locust test, this parameter we are going to add from the command line argument, so that locust will understand, okay, now I'm going to do something on a application whose host name is this. And what exactly we're going to do, we will go to the home page and we're trying to view the cart. So show me the all items added in the cart, right? But make a note, like, we're not going to log in into the system. We're just going to in that page through REST API call, and they see the response and other uh, output, right? Such as status code and other response to output. Let's move to that application quickly to see. So this is my applications, and we'll go here, right? So better first let me inspect. Let me go to the network section. Let me clear it and click to the cart item, and let's see where it goes. I think it should be in the top, and this one. So let's figure out what is this. So it's a get call, and this is the complete URL. After this .com slash index.php, then controller order, and the status goes, we got a 200. Okay, there are a couple of response header and request headers as well. So I'm not going to send anything as of now when I'm going to hit with the request header, but we'll see eventually all those things in our next chapter. Like, we'll send the cookie, we'll send other information as well. But since I'm not a logged in user as of now in the system, I can directly go and hit this URL as a get, and then we'll verify a couple of things. So what we're going to verify, by the way, so if you see the response here, and if you quickly see the page as well, so the moment you come to this page, there's a shopping cart summary, right? So what about if I check whether this shopping cart summary is present or not? So let's see this. Yes, it's there, right? So we can do one thing from this complete response, whatever we received after hitting this, and we'll see how locust is going to verify this text is present or not. By the way, we're also going to check the status code as well. Clear? So this is what we're going to do. Let's go back, and this is our URL. Now, before jumping to execution, let's first understand what are the things really required and the very important attribute of HTTP user class. And all about this chapter, right? So if you see here, the first thing to be noticed, so my user class is now, it's not inheriting from the user class, rather it's inheriting from HTTP user class. So it's also coming from the locust library. So how it's going to, what's the difference between user and normal HTTP user class? So if you are going to inherit from HTTP user class, it will give you one really important thing, that is an attribute called client. So this client, self.client, what I'm using here to hit the REST call, I'm coming to this later. So that is basically coming from this HTTP user class. So what is this? What is this client, right? Let's quickly go to the code, and it's the same class. Okay, as of now, we're not looking into this. Just concentrate here. This HTTP user came from locust. Let's go there. So if I go inside, this is a class. So eventually it's inherited from the HTTP, sorry, the locust user class. So you will get all the flexibility, all the features, methods available inside this class, plus some extra things. And what is extra things? This part, client attribute, right? And if you see what this client attribute is, this is, we are sitting in the users.py of the locust library. So this is not our class. So this client, they assign with a session, and the session is nothing but a HTTP session class. So the moment you create your my user class from HTTP user, by default locust will give you a pointer kind of thing through which you can directly hit the REST API call. So you really don't need to create a request class, HTTP request class, and then store the session, all those things, right? It will be done for you automatically by the locust. Clear? So let's come back, let's close this. So as of now, we are clear as what is HTTP user, and what we will get from HTTP user is this client. So this example, And we have a class called viewCut, which is a sequential task set. I have only one task here, and I have another task which will stop the navigation of this, right? And the task has to be declared as a viewCut. And the method we declared here is get all cut item. And here, this is another important part to remember. This is a syntax which Locust provide you. This is with is a keyword and client.get. With this client you can also hit like post and other methods which will show. We're going to see everything in my real project, but as of now this the URL. So this is not the complete URL, since we're going to pass this host attribute or the host information from a command line. So we just need to add the remaining part of the URL. So here it was index.php controller.order, just to make sure, like, you come back, go here. That's correct, right? So we are adding only this part from here to here. Cool. So, and catch response true. So I'm saying, okay, I would like to catch the response as response. So this is, you can say, a placeholder where my response will come back. So this line is going to be really important. In our real project, we'll see we're going to pass more other information like header informations or sometimes maybe cookies, and we'll see all those things. But as of now, we'll try to make it as simple as possible and just two arguments, right? And see what we're doing. If the response status code is not equal to 200, I'm doing a response.failure. This is another important part. If I do a response.failure, what happens? So we'll also intentionally fail our code, and see this response.failure information will come where. So the purpose of doing a response.failure, it will report this as a failure in our in our locust reporting, which is coming as out of the box. We'll see that, right? Else, so if this is a 200, then I'm checking if this text present in the response.text. See, so we learned a couple of things here, right? With the response, we can take the status code at dot status code, we can make it as a response dot failure, and we can get the complete text as a response, so with the dot text. So I'm checking whether this particular string is present here or not. If yes, then I'm saying, okay, it's a done success, all my calls and other checkings is done. Else, again, I'm doing a failure here, so fail to get all cart items, and here I'm printing text. So two failure point here. If the status code is not matching, I'm giving a status code failure. If the string is not there, I'm reporting another failure. That's all it is, right? Simple. Let's move and execute. So here, my class, same code. I'm not going to explain once again, it's the same thing. First, let me clear it and see, I already have that. Yes. So my class name was http user example.py. The extra thing we're providing here is double hyphen host and my host information. Make sure you don't add a slash at the back. No, right? Because that we already added in our class here. Cool. And we are hatching one user with a rate of 1. Let's do that. And let's move to locust. Refresh it. Now see, since I have provided the host information from a command line, it will be populated here. Is it mandatory? No, not really. You can also come here to put your host information, but it's a good practice to pass that from command line or from config file, which eventually we'll know later, right? So it will populate it here. Start swarming. And now this time we'll not go back to the Python shell, because everything that's happening, it will happen here, and we'll see from here, right? So I've created one user, and it's continuously hitting this endpoint, which is a get. Type is get index.php control order, and all the request passed as of now, no failures. It will show you other information as a matrix. I will not talk about these things as of now, but let's go to chart section. And here, if you see, let me start from the end. Here we created one user, right? So at this point, no data, but this point, users one, right? And it continues because we have not created any more user. So if you're going to hatch more user, it will slowly increase and it will show you this information, right? There are a couple of other things, response times. So this green one is a median time and it's 95 percentile. So again, we'll not talk more on this as of now. Let's store it for later. And there is a request per second. So everything is good as of now. So if I go to the failures, nothing is there. Exception, nothing is there. Download data. So you can download all those statistics CSV, okay, from here. I mean, it will download just a CSV file you can use for the later. The same report you will see the same thing in the Python console as well. Let's go back here and let me stop it and let's see how it works when we're going to fail it. So it's stopped here, right? Let me stop it. So this statistics, you see, the same thing you can download it from those download CSV. Now, what happened if I'm going to intentionally fail it? Let's say I'm going to fail it here. Or rather, let's me try with 1, 2. So I added just 1, 2 in the URL and let's me try to execute. Some command, go back, refresh, start swarming. I'm expecting to all the reports to come as a failed. Yes, it's failing, right? Cool. So now if I go to the failures tab, I'm expecting something to see here, right? Go here and you see here. So that's the magic of when you say response.failure. So here it's happening, right? Response.failure. So if you don't do this, it's locust is will not be able to report in our statistics or in the failure chart. So fail to get all card items, text is something, right? So here, okay, sorry, our code is coming from here. Fail to get all card items, status code is something else. I mean, since we changed this URL part. Looks good. So let's stop it now. So all fails here. Let's stop it now. And let's come back to our code for some time. Yeah, let's stop it. What else? I mean, this is like a overview of how we're going to use the HTTP user and the all things which will come handy with HTTP user class, like your client class, the response things, and you can put success value, all the things, right? This is going to be a really important chapter for our next sections when we move to a real life project. Sounds good? And thanks. I will see you in the next class. Bye.